Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah, the cherisher and nourisher of the entire universe. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have peace upon His Prophet. Inshallah, we continue our reading from Sahih Bukhari from the book of Jihad. And this sector that we are starting with is called Race Between the Horses, or Racing Between the Horses, narrated Abdullah ibn Umar. The Prophet ﷺ arranged for a horse race amongst the horses that had been made lean to make place between Al-Hafiyya and Thaniyat al-Wada', which are names of two places, and the horses which had not been mad. Lean from Thaniyat to the mosque of Bani Zurayq. I was also amongst those who took part in that horse race. Sufyan also, he the sub-narrator said, the distance between Al-Hafiyya and Thaniyat al-Wada' is 5 or 6 miles, and between Thaniyya and the mosque of Bani Zurayq is 1 mile. The second sector, the narrated Abdullah said the Prophet arranged for a horse race of the horses which had not been made lean. The area of the race was from Thaniyya, the mosque of Bani Zurayq, and the sub-narrator said, which is Abdullah ibn Umar, was amongst those who participated in that horse race. Also narrated from Ibn Umar, radiallahu anhu, also said, Allah's apostle arranged a horse race amongst the horses that had been made lean, letting them start from Al-Hafiyya, and their limit distance of running was up to Thaniyat al-Wada'. I asked Musa what was the distance between the two places. Musa replied 6 or 7 miles. He arranged a race of the horses which had not been made lean, sending them from Thaniyat al-Wada', and their limit was up to the mosque of Bani Zurayq. I asked, what was the distance between those two places? He replied, 1 mile or so. Ibn Umar was amongst those who participated in that horse race. Pertaining the 3 sectors that we have just, or those 3 sections that we have just mentioned, that are narrated, or that Imam Bukhari has narrated them in his book of Jihad, of course in his great book of Sahih Bukhari, are related to training for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though they pertain to racing of horse racing, although those 3 ahadith we have mentioned, they shed the light on the importance of practicing and training. And it's not for the cause of entertainment. What the Prophet ﷺ has done in those hadith, and we will explain, are not for the cause of entertainment, although they are for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all these sectors are connected together. And Imam Bukhari has mentioned in the 3 sectors the same hadith from different ways of narrations. And in it, the Prophet differentiated between the horses that race. Between the horses that are taken care of, or that are made lean, meaning those horses that are taken care of and being fed regularly and so forth, they gain a lot of weight. So they made lean by making them lose weight through less food and making them sweat a lot and work and do some sort of exercises for the horses. So they can be made lean, so they can be faster in some conditions where a lean horse is necessary. And we have mentioned before the necessity of using the right things at the right moment at the right place in jihad. And such horses, they are needed in order to go marathons and running for long periods of time, or running for far distances. And he used to make the race between them in such a long range, because they can, and they have the ability, and they train on doing that sort of long range. And other horses that are not made lean have shorter distance to race. And here Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu mentions that the horses made lean, they race between Al-Haysa and Thaniyat al-Wada'. And Al-Haysa is a place in Medina. And Thaniyat al-Wada' is an area towards Tabuk. It's the entrance of Medina towards Tabuk. And it's not somehow people think it's near Mecca. And what has been spread between the people, that it is near Mecca, because of the hadith has been spread before, or between the people that, or between Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, the people of Medina have welcomed him, saying the known line of history saying the creed has rise upon us from Taniyat al-Wada'. This is not correct. It's not a strong nation at all, and it cannot be used as proof. Although this is what has the correct, the girls of the used to speak. Those of the majority honor and our type as our neighbor. Of course, it rhymes. It may not rhyme to you now, the English translation, although it rhymes. So they had this. This is what is known and what has been proven to be correct narration. Although the narrations that are mentioned, or the narration that is mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ, it came from Taniyat al-Wada', and therefore this narration is not correct at all. Also to mention one last thing, we see how the Prophet ﷺ used to make those horses that are made lean travel much longer distance. Okay, the distance was about 6 miles, and the other distance was about 1 mile. Okay, 1 mile or so for those horses that are not as lean as the others. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala noticed. Brothers and sisters, the Sheikh has decided to blot the text or writing a text because of what has happened has gone over the borderline of the code of conduct of the room. And please, if in any situation that a person comes in the room and try to get the conversation on the text out of the discussion that we're having, please pay attention to that. And right now the Sheikh will return the text on. But please don't have such conversations. You can have put some remarks, some comments, some questions, or the questions will be end. Although you can have some comments or remarks. What we are discussing right now, so we can be stayed focused. And we continue our discussion or our comments and remarks about those 3 sections that we have just mentioned about racing the horses. And first addition or first comment or first remark that we want to add in, that the Prophet ﷺ has made races between horses that are made lean, and also has made it for horses that are not made lean, which says, or we can get few benefits out of that. First benefit that the scholars have said, it is permissible to make horses lean. That's first point. Second point, that you don't have to make horses lean in order to race them. So you can have races between lean horses or horses that are made lean, and you can have races between horses that are not made lean. So it's not a condition in order to races between horses. Okay? And in order to the fact that it's preferable to make lean, because it can maybe necessary to use regarding the points. Also, regarding the hadith, a prize can be used for the winner, or for the champion of such races, in the conditions that this prize is been made or gifted by a third party that has not been participating in such race. But in the situation where the loser has to pay money for the winner, this is considered to be some sort of gambling, and it is not permissible. Okay? It is considered to be some sort, identified or fallen under gambling, and is not permissible in any way, shape, or form. But if it's a third party, or those who are entering says, okay, we're going to all chant, and whoever wins will get prize, that's fine. But in paying a condition where the loser has to pay money for the winner, in this case, that's not permissible at all. So either all parties chip in, whether they're 2, 3, or 4, or where a third party comes in and gives a prize for the winner. That's regarding giving a prize or some sort of incentive for those or for that person who wins such case. Also, getting back to the point of the distance. We said in the hadith, Allah's apostle arranged a horse race amongst the horses that had been made lean, letting them start from a hifat and their limit. The limit means the distance of running. The distance of running. And it shows how the Prophet is from the fiqh, from the knowledge, from the wisdom, that you use or you put everything in its place. We use everything in its place, meaning the horses that are made lean in order that they run a longer distance. before the Prophet ﷺ made them run a longer distance, which was 6 or 7 miles as it came in some of the narrations that are, or sub-narrations that have came into the hadith. And for those who had not been, meaning the horse had not been made lean, he made their limit shorter. He made their running distance shorter. Why? Because their ability is less. They have a weaker ability than those horses that are made lean. Therefore, he made them, or made their or distance that they're going to run about a mile or so. This shows how the Prophet ﷺ used to assign the right thing for the, assign the right tool, or the right animal, or the right weapon in jihad for the right task. He would assign the horses that are made lean for the task of running longer distances. For the horses that are not made lean, will assign them for shorter distances. And this from his wisdom, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, we can get from these hadith that Imam Bukhari has mentioned, we find how when he used the same hadith, or he used the same narration, almost the same narration, did not mention the full hadith in every sector. He used, for example, he said leaning horses for race. He would say the Prophet arranged a horse race of the horse which had not been made lean. Okay? Why? To show that it's not necessary, or it's not a condition for race, or it's not one of the conditions of racing horses to have them being made lean. Okay? So we see how Imam Bukhari used to put the narrations in such fashion that he would make the rulings on certain things become easier for us. So now, when the scholars look at the hadith, look at the sections, look at the sectors, they find, since he said the title of the sector so-and-so, and the hadith says so-and-so, we can say that the ruling is that the horses that are not made lean does not have to, can still participate in races, and so on. This is how Imam Bukhari has broken down such sectors. So we have mentioned that in the beginning. We have also mentioned how it is permissible for them to actually participate. We have mentioned how the Prophet ﷺ used to assign the right thing for the right task, and so on. And this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. The last remark, or the last input on the 3 sectors that we have just mentioned, is how Imam Bukhari, and this is a linguistic comment, or a linguistic remark about those 3 sectors. In the translation, or in the Arabic language, that 2 words have been noticed in such a hadith. One word is sabel, which is the actual race, and it is the source of the word. Also, sabel, which is here, is the actual prize of the race. This was a linguistic remark, especially those who are here taking this series of lessons in the book of Jihad in Arabic, need to know such thing. Okay. Now we go into another section, which is the sector of the camel of the Prophet ﷺ, and Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said that the Prophet ﷺ had Usama radiallahu anhu on the al-Qaswa, which is a name of a camel. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said that al-Qaswa never was beaten in a race, or never was there was a horse or a camel that was faster than al-Qaswa. Narrated Anas, that was the title of the sector. Now we go into the hadith. Narrated Anas, he said that a camel, which was a female camel of the Prophet ﷺ, was called Al-Abba, and also narrated Anas, the Prophet had a female camel called Al-Abba, which could not be excelled in a race. Humayd radiallahu anhu, a sub-narrator, said, or could hardly be excelled. Once a Bedouin came riding a camel below 6 years of age, which surpasses it, meaning surpassed Al-Abba in the race. The Muslims felt it so much that the Prophet noticed their distress. he then said, it is Allah's law that He brings down whatever rises high in the world. It is Allah's law that He brings down whatever rises high in the world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. Inshallah, we return to explain the hadith that we have just mentioned, or the sector that we have just mentioned. We say that this hadith that we have just mentioned is connected to the hadith that we will mention after it, and the hadith that was mentioned before it. The hadith that was mentioned before mentioned the horses, because it was the main animal and the main ride used in jihad. Then Imam Bukhari mentioned a chapter to talk about the female camel of the Prophet ﷺ, saying that the Prophet had only one camel, called Al-Qaswa and Al-Abba. And it was only one, as some scholars have mentioned. And it was called two names, which we have just mentioned, and some people added Al-Jad'a. The actor called the camel, or the female camel of the Prophet, meaning the Prophet used to ride the camel, used to own it, and it appears that there are different camels. Al-Abba means a camel with no ears, or the ears has been cut off. That does not mean it's a characteristic, because the proof on that is not a characteristic. In the hadith it is called, and another narration it's named. So it's not a characteristic, although it's just a name. Okay? And Al-Qaswa and Al-Abba mean the same thing, although it appears to be that there are two camels, not one. Also, it shows how it is permissible to use female camels in jihad. This also can be a benefit from the hadith, or from the hadith that we have just mentioned. Explaining the name of the sector, Imam Bukhari says the sector of the female camel of Prophet ﷺ. So this is what we have just talked about. Then we have heard that Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said that Prophet ﷺ had Usama radiallahu anhu on Al-Qaswa. And this was related to a longer story, or a longer narration, and it was during Hajj, or the season of Hajj, and it comes in a longer narration. And then, also the Prophet ﷺ called that Al-Qaswa has never declined in order, which means what happened was, when they were entering Mecca, the camel was noticed that it did not enter. When the Prophet ﷺ went to open Mecca, we know he left to Medina and then he came back later on to enter Mecca, and he defeated the kuffar. It stopped. It did not go on. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, it did never decline in order, although what happened was, as he has mentioned some hadith, or in the narration, that this is what happened was a part of what happened to the elephant. And of course we know the story, was the year of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. A king who brought, and we know of course Abraham, who brought elephants to destroy Kaaba, and it stopped. So what happened was, this was a part of the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Kaaba and to Mecca, that the animals, they stopped. Okay, they won't enter in any or fierce fighting and so forth. So what happened was that something happened to it, just like how it happens to the elephant. It does not mean that the Prophet ﷺ was entering to do harm to Mecca, but this is a law that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for such place. Okay, that animals stop and they are calm when they enter this place. But in general, it does not decline in order. And the animal that does not decline in order, this is a good characteristic. Okay? This is something that you look for in an animal that you use, or in a ride that you use in jihad. Why? You don't want to be doing jihad and the animal and the ride of yours decline your orders. Then you're in big trouble. In the narration of Anas radiallahu anhu, the Prophet had a female camel called Al-Abba, which could not be excelled in race. It never lost race. Okay? Humayd, who is a second narrator, radiallahu anhu, said, or could hardly be excelled. Then once a Bedouin, okay, he came riding a camel below 6 years of age. A weaker camel perhaps, okay? And he went to race this camel. The two camels went in a race and see which one will win. And it did surpass the camel of Prophet ﷺ. The Muslims were in distress because they loved the Prophet ﷺ and they loved everything that was related to the Prophet ﷺ. So they were distressed that his camel lost a race. And the Prophet ﷺ noticed such distress spreading among them. What happened that the Prophet ﷺ, in order for him to please them or bring joy in their hearts, or actually to tell them the lesson that they should know out of this incident, it is that he said it is Allah's law that He brings down whatever rises high in the world, showing that everything that is materialistic or related to materialistic, related to the life, has nothing to do with afterlife, does not cause harm or benefit to you in afterlife. And something that is only materialistic, then the Prophet ﷺ kind of saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always brings it down. However high you may be, you may not be brought down, although everybody comes down. Even if you don't come down by bankrupt, you come down by death. So he shows how this is a rule. This is what we call a sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in life. That whatever goes high, whatever rises high in the world comes down. We see this between empires. Whatever comes high always falls down. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. We start reading two other sectors, or actually one sector of them. Imam al-Bukhari did not mention hadith in the sector. And he just mentioned the name of the sector, the use of donkeys in beds. Then he connected the sector, or actually connects the title of this sector with another sector that has a hadith, which is the Prophet's white, or how Imam Bukhari named it, the Prophet ﷺ, or the Prophet ﷺ's white donkey. Narrated Amr ibn al-Harith radiallahu anhu, the Prophet did not leave anything behind him after his death except a white mule, his arms, and a piece of land which he left to be given in marriage. Okay? A white mule, his arms, and a piece of land which he left to be given in charity. This is the first hadith, or this is one of the sectors. Okay? Meaning arms here is weapons, of course. Also narrated, this is another sector, or this is the same sector actually, under the same sector, which is the Prophet ﷺ's white mule or white donkey, that narrated Al-Bara radiallahu anhu. He said that a man asked him, "O Abu," "O Abu Amara," which was a nickname of Al-Bara, "did you flee on the day of the battle of Hunayn?" He replied, meaning Al-Bara, "No, by Allah, the Prophet did not flee, but the hasty people fled, and the people of the tribe of Hawazin attacked them with arrows, while the Prophet was riding his white mule, and Abu Sufyan ibn al-Harith was holding its reins. And the Prophet was saying, I am the Prophet in the truth, I am the son of Abdul Muttalib." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Regarding those two, or explaining those two sectors, we mentioned that first point that the Prophet ﷺ has received many white mules as gifts. Here we have to differentiate, first of all, between the meaning of those two sectors, or the titles. The first title was the Prophet's white donkey, going into battles, or using donkeys, the use of donkey battles. Then, he said the Prophet ﷺ white mule. Now, how do we connect both sectors. While the fact the first sector we have mentioned, the use of donkeys in battles, does not have a hadith to support it. We said that the Imam Bukhari, when he critiqued both sectors, or the players of both sectors, with the intention that he mentioned a hadith in the use of mules in war. That has been used to prove that a donkey can be as well used as a ride or as any sort of assistance in jihad. So he connected both of them and used the hadith of the mule to connect and prove his first point about the use of donkeys in battles. The mule, to explain what a mule is a donkey that his mother is a horse. Okay? Although the Prophet ﷺ condemned this action to allow such, if we'd say, intercourse between the horse and the donkey, or such a mix between the donkey and the horse, or the horse and the donkey, because horses are much useful tool, or much useful animals, much useful ride, in jihad. We're now talking about jihad. Therefore, we have to relate any sort of ruling to jihad. So we find how horses here are more useful tool. So the Prophet condemned such action, although the way he condemned it was not that he made it forbidden, but from his wisdom, so that the use of horses are better. And this action should not be repeated continuously, because you need more horses than mules and donkeys. Their use in war are much useful, much more strong, powerful, and so forth. So this is regarding those points. Also, we say the Prophet had many white mules, and it seemed that they were all gifted to the Prophet from the people, kings, and so forth. And the Prophet also here is mentioned that he used one of those in Hunayn, although that was before Tabuk, of course, as we know. So he used one Hunayn, and there was other mules that he was gifted before and afterwards. Also, we can mention here, or we should mention here, that in hadith that narrated Amr ibn Harith, he also mentioned that the Prophet left behind him after his death. One white mule has been left, not used. His arms, his weapons that he used during the war, or during battles and wars before, and the piece of land which he left to be given to charity. So he mentioned the Prophet has left after his death, and this is also a benefit that we can gain to know the Prophet has left after his death. Also, the second hadith, the Prophet it's known that it's regarding the battle of Uhud. And we have talked about this in another narration that mentioned another sector earlier in this series of lessons in the book of Jihad. Although we know the incident that the Prophet did not flee, he stood strong, saying, "I'm the Prophet and truth, I'm the son of Abdul Muttalib." And we know the incident that the Hawazin did some sort of a trick to bring Muslims between the two between the two mountains, and they were good archers. So they started attacking the Muslims with the arrows. Some of them, because this shows of course how the companions are just human, some of them actually were hiding and running from the arrows. So the Prophet, while he was riding his white mule, he showed his strength, and his strength of Iman, and of course his strength in the battlefield, and yelled out loud to spread fear in the hearts of the kuffar, and to mention the Muslims that he is still around. Also from the hadith that was mentioned, we see how we talked before about the shares. The shares of the knight, how the knight picks 3 shares, 1 for him, 2 for the horse, and so forth. We find that the horse has a certain share of the word booty. Also, the camel has a certain share. Also, the mule has a certain share, and monkey, and so forth. So each animal has a certain share that it gets for booty, of course, to be taken care of and feed, and so forth. Those are the benefits that we get from the hadith. Also find in this hadith that as we mentioned before, the Prophet ﷺ, we say that he did not, and I want to stress on that, he did not forbid the fact that the mix between horses and donkeys and having a horse reproduce a mule. Although this is something that from his wisdom, ﷺ, may peace be upon him, that the use of horse is much more stronger, and their use and their benefit in jihad and battlefield is stronger and is better, has more benefit in it to the Muslims. Therefore, the Prophet ﷺ has given such opinion to Sahaba radiallahu anhu. And he said that whoever does so, he does it from an ignorance and does not know. Here this means in one of the narrations that the Prophet ﷺ saw, or something close to that, I don't recall the actual narration, although what that means that they don't know their benefit. Okay? They're ignorant because they don't know the actual benefit of the horses, not because they are sinful or so forth, but they don't know the knowledge, or they don't have the information about the use of such animals, such rights in the jihad, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Brothers and sisters, now the lecture has ended. Now it's a question and answer session. Whoever has a question, put up his hand. Yes, this is as how usually the lessons are being conducted. The questions regarding the lesson first, and then the general questions. Yes, regarding the lesson first, and then of course comes after the general questions. Barakallahu feekum. The brother has asked 3 questions. The first question is, what are the characteristics, if any, of the horse that is being for permissibility, that it's a horse that is being used in a race between 2 other racers to see who's the winner and so forth? Is there any characteristics? There's no characteristics for such a horse. Any horse can be used, and this is of course some brothers has asked because the name of this horse in Arabic is al-Muhallil, and this name can be used sometimes on the fact that sometimes after a woman who's being divorced by her wife 3 times, she marries a guy with the intention that he'll divorce her in order for her original husband to return to her. That's not what is meant by that, although it's talking about the actual horse. So we're not talking about a man in this situation, okay? I just thought to translate that, although it does not pertain to any of those who are English speakers. Also, is there an incentive for the winner of the archers? If archers compete, yes, there are, as long as the incentive is not been given by the loser of the competition. It can be done, as we have said before, by a third party or the old chitan, whoever compete, and the winner gets that prize. The last question was the horses the Sheikh has mentioned 2 kinds of horses. Horses that are made lean and those that are not. We said that there are races between, he said, to clarify that, can we have a race that is a mix between horses that are made lean and those are not? We say no. What we meant is that horses that are made lean have a race together, and horses that are not made lean have a race together. And this is from the knowledge of Prophet from his wisdom, that he uses a certain thing or certain utensil or an add-on, a certain ride, or the case might be for the right horse are made lean, race together with its type, and the horses that are not made lean races together with their type. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. My brother has said, Sheikh Tarhuni, with all due respect to you, informative maybe, what's the benefit of talking about mules and donkeys while the enemies of Islam are going even beyond the building of nuclear biological weapons and etc.? My main question, however, is how would you see the world we live in today returning to the more basic and primitive way of combat before the end of time, as mentioned in some of the hadith, Would you also narrate some of those relevant hadith for us and so forth? The Sheikh has answered pertaining your first remark or pertaining your comment before your main question. In this series of lessons that we are going through right now, this is related to a specific book that we are teaching. So we teach what is then related and what's in the book. That's first of all. Second of all, we are concerned to the religious points. For example, we are not experts in nuclear and biological weapons. We're not experts in such things. Therefore, we teach what's in the religious books right now, and there are great benefits. For example, the Afghanistan war that happened against the Russians, there was a great use of horses in such war against the tanks because they're not able to get on the mountains. Also, now Shan, they use such horses as well, even though in the cold they use against the tank because they can run around in the forest faster than tanks can go around and so forth. Therefore, the use of such things are not gone yet. So even the camels has been used in the war of the U.S. against Afghanistan. The camels have been used in the more sandy areas because they are faster and they can take the temperature and so forth. So such things are still being used. Yes, they are primitive, although they can be used. And regarding to the fact that such ways will return once again before the end of time, that may happen due to a world war or something of that sort that will destroy everything that we have from such a high technological materials and return back to sort of primitive and basic weapons. Also, we find benefits in the hadith that we mentioned that has to do with mules or so forth. For example, if you look at the racing of horses and so forth, this can be done. This shows how Muslims are actually prepping, how they are preparing, how the Prophet ﷺ showed the importance of practicing, training, and so forth, and how you can have some competition between archers or between those who use special weapons during the war. You can have some sort of training, practice competitions, providing incentive for your soldiers and so forth, ways that you can actually produce a strong army and a competitive army and so forth. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.